I couldn't see where it posted, and I think it's a possibility that my other message got lost. But I want to make sure this doesn't get lost because it's too important. Number one, because you're foul. Number two, because you're a liar. And number three, because you took really, really personal information and you took it and you tried to use it for your own advantage. And for that, I hope God beats your behind. I hope he beats your tail over and over and over again for it. Rev Up Nation out of Houston, Texas, who hosted the One Hope not versation, not concert that took place tonight in Galveston, where I would have been headlining tonight with Life Jennings, did not happen. Let's be clear. Not because I had a personal emergency, not because Life had a personal emergency. It's because he couldn't afford to pay either one of us to be there on stage tonight. I have been working in this business for 30 years, and I have worked with promoters who have had emergencies, where there have been natural disasters, where there have been acts of God, acts of war, other things that have caused the performances not to be able to happen. And I'm more than happy always to work with a promoter that's trying to make something happen for fans in the community that want to see artists that they love. But this one thing I will not accept. Number one, the world went through hell in 2020. I don't feel like I had a worse year than anybody else in the world. I know I had a pretty bad year and probably one of the worst years of just about anybody that you could name in 2020 that had a year. I lost almost 20 family members last year. But to be able to pray and to ask God for the strength and the ability to get back up and get on my feet and get back to work and to do what it is that I know that he called me to do, and to connect with liars, connivers, people who are not honest, people who can't afford to hire artists. Because just let's be clear, if you can't afford to hire an artist, find something else to do. Because clearly you couldn't afford to hire me or Life tonight. That's the reason why tonight's show did not happen. Let's be clear. The show was originally booked for March of this year. It was canceled, rescheduled, rebooked for this weekend because there were storms that took place here in the state of Texas during the month of March. I am not inhuman. Life is not inhuman. We knew what happened here in the state of Texas. We both agreed to reschedule the concert for this weekend. We know that with the ice storms, with all of that stuff that was happening, that a lot of people ended up being out of money. They had no power. They had all kinds of things. There have been things that both he and I have lived through that you would never have to try to explain to us why it is that somebody needs more time to deal with something because of the things that we've lived through. But let me say this to you, Mr. James, Kendrick James of Rev Up Nation. You are the scum of the earth and you belong on the bottom of my shoe. I'm going to say it again. You are the scum of the earth and you belong on the bottom of my shoe. I got on a plane. I came here to Texas. I have been here since 9 o'clock this morning. I've been trying to find you all day long. I never heard anything from you until almost 6 or 7 o'clock this evening. Sound check had already been done. We had already had my production manager contact your audio-visual production person who turned out to be your homeboy, who really doesn't have any kind of experience in audio-visual anything, if we're going to be all the way clear. You hired your homeboy. Your professional service for transportation, again, homeboy hookup. God help us if we were in an accident. We would have been out like I don't nobody's business. But then you turn around and you call me after I've been trying to reach you for almost 12 hours talking about you just want to have a conversation with me. And because you know I'm a woman of God, you want to pray with me. You can miss me with all of that. Woman of God or no, my business has nothing to do with the fact that you did not handle yours. Get your money up, get your bread up, get your business up, get your mind up, get your brain up, get all of that up, because God has never told me that I'm supposed to allow you to screw me over in the name of Jesus. Miss me with all of that. You finally, after 11 hours of being missing and no one being able to find you, you finally get a hold of me and tell me that you want to have prayer? Are you serious? You finally get a hold of me and you want to say that because you know I'm a woman of God, you want to have a conversation with me about what's going on? Because you don't have the money to pay me for tonight? And I shared with you on a very personal note. It hasn't been personal to the world because I actually talked about it. That last year I lost a lot of family members due to COVID. I lost a lot of family members. I lost almost 20 people, maybe a total, if the exact number was probably about 17, but I lost about 17 people last year during the entire pandemic. And most recently meaning as in within the last 24 hours, being told that I need to get to see my grandmother sooner than later because it's not looking good for her. Did you get on the phone and did you have a conversation with the venue and with the people that the reason why I didn't perform tonight is because I decided that I didn't want to perform because something was wrong with my grandmother? You are a piece of shit. I don't care what church people look at this and decide that they want to judge me for it. I said what I said. You are disgusting. You are the bottom of my shoe. Nobody knew. I hadn't had that conversation with anybody. I'd had that information for less than 24 hours. And I didn't tell you that because I wasn't going to get on the stage. I said it to you because I said, if I can get on a plane and I can show up here for a show, knowing what I knew about my grandmother after everything that I have suffered in the last 12 months, that you could do what you were supposed to do to make sure that I got on that stage tonight for all of the people in the Galveston, Houston area that paid their money to come see me, Life, and the other acts that they came to see tonight. But what you did was you went and you told everybody, I canceled tonight's show because I was feeling some kind of way about my grandmother. My grandmother didn't raise that kind of girl. My grandmother was the kind of woman that could pray somebody through their own sickness when she was sick in her own body. So the only thing I say to you is, I'm not going to even ask God to help you. Whatever you got to deal with because you put your mouth on me, forget me. You put your mouth on her. You don't even know who my grandmother is. You put your mouth on her. I didn't back out of tonight's show. You couldn't afford to pay me for tonight's show. You couldn't afford to pay Life for tonight's show. He didn't even know what was going on until he landed and saw what was happening. And he called me and I told him what you did. I want everybody to know in the Galveston area, in the Houston area, anybody that came through the area to see me or Life tonight, tonight's show was not canceled because of Life. Tonight's show was not canceled because of me. Tonight's show was not canceled because my grandmother is deathly ill. Tonight's show was canceled because you're a bum and you can't pay your bills. How about that? How about tell the truth? How about tell people that you knew that before I got on a plane this morning, you didn't have my money? How about tell people that before Life got on his plane this afternoon, you did not have his money? Before we get to the money, how about let's talk about that at my sound check today. You didn't have my monitors. You didn't have my inner ears. You had the wrong wires. You didn't have anything that was on my tech rider. How about tell everybody you breached the contract before the show even started tonight? How about you tell everybody that before you were due to pay the back end, you couldn't have put the show on tonight regardless because you had already breached the contract? And for the people that want to know how this business goes, you do get 50% of the money up front. You do get all your travel paid for before you get on the plane. The balance is supposed to be paid before showtime, at the very latest by sound check. But we couldn't find you at sound check because you left the building and you stopped answering your phone. And your phone kept going straight to voicemail. And I got your brother Dion on the phone. And then I got my driver on the phone because you wouldn't answer your phone. Then you showed up at my hotel and acted like a complete idiot. And let me tell you what kind of black woman I am. I didn't have the people at my hotel call the police and have you arrested because I'm not that kind of black woman. But just so we're clear, I stay in 5-star hotels. If I would have told them that you were trespassing and that you were here uninvited and that you were asking for me, you would have been arrested on site because you were here uninvited and you had no reason to be here because you did not have my money. And you were not prepared to make tonight's show happen based on the contract we signed with each other. You messed up when you put my grandmother's name in your mouth. You don't have to believe anything about me. You can believe I'm a heathen. You can believe I'm a hellion. You can believe I'm full of the... You can believe whatever you want to believe because I sing R&B music. You can believe any of that. You can believe anything you want to believe because I'm a modern day Christian. And if I get mad enough, I'll curse at you. You can believe any of that you want to believe. Let me tell you something about my grandmother. You picked the wrong one when you called her name out your mouth. And you used that as the reason why your bootleg concert didn't happen tonight because you couldn't afford to pay your bills.